This video is sponsored by PokedownStore.com, the place for all your Pokemon TCG online needs. The new Sword and Shield online booster packs are also available, so definitely check them out, PokedownStore.com. Also, if you use the coupon code ZapDoseTCG, you get 5% off your next order. How amazing is that? Check it out. What's up YouTube, it's ZapDoseTCG here and welcome back to another TCG deck profile video on my channel. If you're a fan of anything competitive or related about Pokemon trading card game, definitely subscribe for more videos like this and also give the video a little like if you enjoy what you see. So let's get the show on the road. There's going to be a little series about new deck profile videos on the channel. I know you guys always love those, so you can get yourself started at your local League Challenge, League Cup, or maybe even a regional tournament because of course, there's going to be an internationals in Melbourne in Australia, and that's the first time that the Sword and Shield cards will be legal in a big scale tournament. So let's get the show on the road with the first candidate, and that's going to be Zacian V. Zacian V is probably the best Pokemon card of the bunch, if we're not including trainer cards. So that is going to be this card. Of course, we already reviewed it on the channel with Interrupt Sword. We can actually look at the top 3 cards of our deck and accelerate any metal energy we find there, and also we can keep the other cards that we find there. So the bad thing about this ability is that your turn immediately ends, but on the first turn you cannot use supporters. That is going to be the new supporter rule, being active as soon as the Sword and Shield cards are legal. That means I think on the second week of February. So that's going to be very interesting to see how people will adapt with deck building. We already seen in Japan that there was a huge tournament with 1,377 players, and Zacian V actually dominated the charts in the top 8, and that's why we're looking at a Zacian V build. You can build Zacian V very defensively with Lucario and Melmetal, but this is going to be an aggression build with, of course, ADP. So to get this deck profile started, we're going to be running 3 copies of the Zacian V. Another thing you should notice that the resistance has been buffed to -30. If you want to learn more about that, definitely check out the links in the description below where you can see more information about the first turn supporter rule and any other rule changes for that matter. Also, Zacian V, I don't know if you noticed, but has the Brave Blade, which can smack 230 damage for 3 energies. We of course are gonna have an easy way to build this guy up, not only thanks to its Interrupt Sword ability, but also thanks to Metal Sorcerer, which is an insane item card, which is exactly like Aqua Patch or Dark Patch if you remember those cards. How do we buff the damage up even further? Because 230 is not knocking out things like Mewtwo, for instance. Well, that's where ADP comes into play here with Altered Creation GX. We're gonna get this card out as soon as possible and use Altered Creation GX to be able to dish out 30 extra damage with all of our Pokemon. Not only that, we already got used to ADP rocking the scene in today's standard format, so we already know that taking extra prize card thanks to the effect of Altered Creation GX is also busted. So that's 2 copies of that. We're going to be running an Zacian V aggression build. Next up, we're going to be, of course, running our favorite consistency card, and that's going to be Jirachi. There's going to be 3 copies of Jirachi in this list. With Stellar Wish, we can find puzzle pieces, for instance, a supporter card. Not only that, also insane item cards like Metal Sorcerer. That is going to be our metal item card to just accelerate to Zacian V. So it's going to be fantastic to try this card out. So Jirachi is also necessary because there's also a very popular Mewtwo handlock deck in the standard format coming into the ways with Sword and Shield. That's going to be with Dusknoir and Trevenant. So we need to find a way to get at least a supporter in our hand after they used something like a Night's Watch. So that's why Stellar Wish is still part of the deck list. Next up, we're going to be running 1 copy of Absol. With all these popular Jirachis in every single deck list out there, we even have an updated Pika run list, which we're going to talk about soon on the channel. So that's why Absol is insane. That means the opponent is going to have a hard time to get their Jirachi out of the active position after using a Stellar Wish because they cannot rely on a skateboard. That means they get an extra retreat cost, which is fantastic. So 1 copy of Absol. Get your Absols now because I do think they're going to increase in value a little bit after Sword and Shield is legal. Because more people will also be running Jirachi because of the first turn supporter rule. That means you cannot play supporters, but with Jirachi you can find and actually buff up your hand. Moving forward, we're gonna go talking about supporters. The new supporter here, that's going to be Marnie. Marnie is gonna be a staple and is not going anywhere. It's pretty much like an early game N or maybe a buffed up Judge, if you guys know that. Because it lets both players shuffle their hand, so you shuffle your hand easily, and then you can put it at the bottom of the deck. Your opponent draws 4 cards, you draw 5 cards. So you have an advantage putting your opponent to a low hand size, and that's why this card is so busted. 4 copies of Marnie it is, so I do think Marnie is gonna see a whole lot of play, because imagine it, on the first turn of the game you smack this and the opponent only has 4 cards to start off with. That's very disruptive. We're thinking about the days of course, the Shining Legends Marshadow. The good news is that there's a first turn supporter rule, so you can only use this as soon as your second turn or your first turn if you go second. Next up, another new supporter, and that's going to be Professor's Research. This is very similar like Sycamore or of course Juniper if you go way back. Discard your hand and draw 7 fresh cards. This is ideal to get those metal energies in the discard pile, and if we can get them in the discard pile, we can reaccelerate them thanks to Metal Sorcerer. Next up, another supporter is Cynthia. This is just a shuffle support. Sometimes we also have a nice way of using Cynthia instead of Sycamore, because we do have a lot of pieces in the hand that we don't want to get rid of. Also, I forgot to say that with Marnie, the good news is that you don't redraw your cards. Let's say your hand is really terrible and you don't want any single one of those cards. Well, if you put them on the bottom of the deck, you won't redraw them. With Cynthia, you can redraw them. So that's the thing here. Next up, 2 tag team supporters. We have Guzman Hala. This is nice to be finding our stadium card. We do run Lysander Labs and 1 copy of Shrine of Punishment. So with this, it's easy, able to find that stadium card, but also getting a skateboard for Jirachi is kind of nice. But also our big amulets that buff our HP up to crazy levels. I do think it's in this list. I should recheck, but still, you can find tool cards, you can find stadium cards and special energies. And with the new Aurora energy introduced in Sword and Shield, Guzman Hala gets a whole other level of searchability. Next up is Mallow and Lana. Healing 120 damage has always been good. It's a very nice synergy with, of course, Jirachi thanks to the escape board. So switching to the bench and healing 120 is just busted. So I'm actually gonna put him like this: Guzman Hala and Mallow and Lana. Next up to the item cards. Very insane new card is coming out in Sword and Shield. That's going to be Quick Ball. Quick Ball is just like Ultra Ball, but better. If you're only running basic Pokemon, that is. And in this list, we only run basic Pokemon, so Quick Ball is busted. We discard 1 card from the hand, and then we can search our deck for a basic Pokemon. So basically anything of our deck. So that means Quick Ball is gonna be our means to find our Pokemon, finding our Jirachi, finding our Absol, ADP, Zacian V, etc. So 4 copies of the Quick Ball. Alright, what else is in this list? There's gonna be 2 copies of Tackle. As mentioned, Tackle can find, of course, the tag team Pokemon, that is the Arceus Dialga Palkia, but also our tag team supporters in the form of Guzman Hala and Mallow and Lana. So Tackle is a very interesting card. We don't run Cynthia and Callan, so if you want to have, of course, a way to get your supporters back, you could also maybe run 1 copy of that. Maybe you cut 1 copy of Marnie, maybe you cut 1 copy of Cynthia. It all depends on your playstyle. Next up, 4 copies of the Crushing Hammer. What can I say about Crushing Hammer? This is a card that has been with us for a very long time. Seems to always get a reprint, and this time around, Crushing Hammer is going to be a way to slow the opponent down. The reasoning for that is that a lot of people will also try out their ADP or maybe set up a Zacian V or whatever. Well, with Crushing Hammers, we can make sure that the opponent is 1 turn behind, and that means we're faster, and that means we are actually gonna win the game. So 4 copies of Crushing Hammer in this list. You could also try out a Team Skull, actually a Team, what is it, Team Yell Grunt. That means you can put energies from the opponent into their hand. That is also a way you can go about this, but in this particular list, we're not gonna be running that because I'd rather use our supporters to find the resources that we need. But Team Yellgrunt is also a very, very nice way to get, of course, your stuff going. Okay, moving forward, we're gonna be running 4 copies of Switch. That's right, Switch is gonna be kind of a staple again in the TCG. Not only is everyone running their Absol to ruin Jirachi's day, but with Switch you can easily get out of the active position and get yourself another attacker ready. Definitely thinking about the fact that we have Metal Sorcerer to, of course, accelerate metal energies from the discard pile to our bench Pokemon. That means we can use Switch. Not only that, Zacian V, after using its attack, cannot attack the turn afterwards. So with Switch we can reset that effect if it goes to the bench, and we can still do it once more. So 4 copies of the Switch. Ta-da! Yeah, next up, Metal Sorcerer. I was talking about this card already. This is a busted card for Metal type Pokemon. We can accelerate 1 Metal Energy from our discard pile to one of our bench Metal type Pokemon. So we can accelerate to Zacian V. Another way you can go about this is running Energy Switch in a list like this. With Energy Switch, you can immediately get that energy to ADP and then use Ultra Creation as quickly as possible. That's always a nice strategy. In this particular list, I opted to go for slowing the opponent down with Crushing Hammer, but it's all the same either way. You can see whatever suits you. If flipping coins is not your thing, try out an Energy Switch in a list like this so you can immediately get that Metal Energy to your ADP and start using Ultra Creation quicker. So you don't always need to use Ultra Creation. It's in here for particular matchups, but Zacian V on its own is already a busted card as it is. Smacking 230 damage is a very nice treat indeed. Next up, the Pokemon Catcher. Of course, Custom Catcher is nice, but with Mewtwo handlock everywhere, people opted to go for a simple copy of Pokemon Catcher because you can play it instantly. The same goes for like Great Catcher, but you need to discard 2 cards from the hand. So there's 1 copy of Great Catcher in here and 3 copies of Pokemon Catcher. Also, a thing I realized that I also tried out in this list is running a supporter called Will. That means you can decide the outcome of a coin flip. If you're running Crushing Hammer, if you're running Pokemon Catcher, you might even cut 1 copy of maybe like, let's say, Cynthia for a Will. This will help you out to decide the outcome of these flipping coins. But in this list, we are not running Will. It's just pure consistency, lots of supporters, lots of instant plays. So we have 3 copies of the Pokemon Catcher and 1 copy of the Great Catcher. Great Catcher can only target GXs, while Pokemon Catcher can target anything, but requires a coin flip. So if you're lucky with some coin flips, try out this list. If you're not a fan of coin flips, you might either want to run Custom Catchers and replace the Crushing Hammers with some Energy Switches. That's always a way you can go. Next up is a Reset Stamp. There's only 1 copy of it in here. Sometimes you want to run more, but the good news is that Marnie is already disruptive as it is, so that's why there's only 1 copy of Reset Stamp in this list. Because typically Marnie gets you more cards in the hand while also slowing the opponent down. Next up, we have 1 copy of the Energy Spinner. Energy Spinner will be able to find our necessary water type energies. There's more metal energies in this list. So finding this is actually a means to find either metal energies or water energies. And if you use this on the second turn, you can immediately get 3 energies. So that's always a nice treat. Getting 2 energies, actually 3 energies at once, making sure that you can play your quick balls down for the metal energies and get more stuff, of course, rolling, because Metal Sorcerer is going to be more fantastic than ever before if there's metal energies in the discard pile. Next up, there's going to be 2 copies of the Escape Board. You see that I always try to collect my switches and escape boards in gold. That means you know how many outs you have of retreating. That's always I like to make with the deck building. You go to your deck, oh, I have so many switching cards. That means, yeah, shall I use Stellar Wish? Am I going to do it? Yes or no? So we have 2 copies of Escape Board, just simply for Jirachi, but also works out for Absol if it might be stranded in the active position from time to time. But sometimes could also get one of your big Pokemon out of the active slot in rough situations. Next up, there's going to be 1 copy of the Giant Bomb. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Zacian V has 220 HP. And with a Giant Bomb, that means if they smack 180 or more, basically if they try to one-shot your Zacian, they get 100 damage on themselves. So that means that Zacian V does not even need damage buffs like Ultra Creation or even things like a Shrine of Punishment to finish the job. Just a Giant Bomb will be sufficient for the next turn to just re-accelerate energies with Metal Sorcerer and get another Zacian V smacking the opponent down. So 1 copy of the Giant Bomb. Giant Bomb does get a little bit better in my opinion, because a lot of these Pokemon cannot lower their damage output. Let's say ADP uses Altered Creation GX, that means his damage output is immediately 180. Zacian V smacks 220, so Giant Bomb will almost be live in every single game against a lot of matchups. Next up, Lysander Labs. What can I say? This shuts down tool cards. Not only do you have Absol to shut down things like the escape board for the opponent, let's say you already got out of the active position, well, you can smack down Lysander Labs. That means that the opponent's tool cards will no longer work. Think about Big Amulets. Yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, Big Amulet is not in this list. That's always a way you can go about this, getting the damage buff with Big Amulet, or what is it called? The Giant Charm whatever it's called in English, yeah, it's always a nice way to get this in this list as well, because that means the HP of an ADP comes 310, which is also insane to think about. This is a little bit more defensive list with crushing hammers and giant bombs, so preventing, of course, things done to you, and that's gonna be fantastic. So as I was saying, Lysander Labs, that means spell tag no longer works, giant bomb no longer works, skateboard no longer works, the giant what else, all the tool cards no longer work, and that's gonna be fantastic in this kind of a list, because you're a defensive kind of build with crushing hammer, slowing the opponent down, and maybe with crushing hammer you can leave something stuck in the active, and that's gonna help out a lot. Next up, Shrine of Punishment. What can I say about this card? This will help you out against the tag team matchups. Definitely thinking about Zacian. Zacian smack 230 damage. If you can get a Shrine of Punishment up, that's already 240. That means Pikaram is already gonna cry, I think, although it does maybe have resistance. Doesn't matter either way. Let's say another example, you use ADP Ultra Creation. That means you get an additional 30 damage. That means 260. With one copy of Shrine of Punishment, you smack 270 damage. And even Mew to a Mew tag team Jax might be crying in the room. They might be using Giant Charm, aka Big Amulet, but with Lysander Labs that will not work and you can get the KO. So that's that, Shrine of Punishment. Okay. Finishing the list, let's talk about some energies. We'll be running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 metal type energies. Will last you through the entire game. You can re-accelerate the energies thanks to, of course, the metal sorcerer. And also thinking about this, our main attacker will be Zacian either way. So that's why I do think that metal energies are the way to go. There's also one copy of the water type energy in here, because you can immediately find it with Energy Spinner, and you can use Ultra Creation GX. But not only that, we also have 2 copies of the Aurora energy. This counts as any type of energy, but you have to discard 1 card from the hand in order to play it down. Basically like Rainbow energy without the downside of the energy, actually the damage counter. So that is the list for you guys, so definitely check it out. Zacian V ADP. This is gonna be one of the more popular builds, so definitely let me know. Yeah, Crushing Hammer is around. I did not even realize that people try to use Crushing Hammer to slow the opponent down, but now that I think about it, yeah, having the first turn supporter rule being live, that means the opponent cannot play a supporter on their first turn. You having Marnie available to you, so putting the opponent to 4 cards, and then having Crushing Hammer and the Giant Bombs and Lysander Labs to just mess with the opponent is definitely gonna save yourself a lot of turns, so you can get your Altered Creation GX out. If you want to go quicker, as mentioned, check out other videos in the description below. You can either go for Energy Switch, Giant Charm aka Big Amulet is also an option you can go about this list, and Lucario and Metal, of course. So definitely let me know what your opinion is about Zacian V decks in the comment section below. And if you enjoy videos like this, be sure to give it a like so I know how to make, not how to make, but if I have to make more videos like it. Anyhow, I wish you all a very fantastic rest of your day. Subscribe for more videos, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.